giving lectures and stuff, like remote lectures. It works, giving it to 30 students, you know. The good thing about it has the names.
Well, we use Teams and, is it Zoom? Teams
Yeah.
and Zoom, those are the two, yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Back online.
So next on the agenda
Thank
is the acceptance of the January 9th, 2024 minutes.
I'll move to accept the minutes from January 9th.
For seconds,
I'll second that motion to approve the meetings from January 9th.
all in favor?
you.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Alright. The only application on the agenda is 18 Galloway Road. Stuff up here.
You can come up
Yep.
too. Here.
Chair.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess if we could just start maybe with a brief overview of the application.
So basically, we're,
You
Can
can,
you see?
your plans are right there if you'd like to open them and
Okay.
show everybody.
that'll help. So, through the last 3 generations, or 80 plus years, Corwin Florist and the, on 12 to 16 Galloway Road, and the 18 Galloway residence has sort of coexisted as almost one entity, and has evolved over those different years with a parking lot shifting, fences, greenhouses, things like that, of really very little accord of actual property lines. And it was kind of brought to our attention when we were engaging with the realtors as far as just seeing what our options are there. They're like, well, you should really survey it and see where things are at. And it became very clear that the two sort of, the business and the residents were intermingled.
Right.
And it was suggested that just realigning the property lines to be what would align with what their current use is today would be potentially the easiest way to go.
Right.
We'll see. It's taken us a while to get this far.
Yeah.
And then the other part that we were doing just to simplify everything else was to combine our residence tax lots, which was, there was an 18 Galley Road, plus there's a Clinton Ave extension piece, that's the backyard
Right.
technically. We're just looking to bring that all into
Into
one property piece.
Right.
So that's, did I get it? That's the gist?
Yeah, we're just trying to clean things up.
Right.
Yeah, there's just been 85 years of
Handshakes and yeah, it kind of looks
People
like
doing
that's where it
everything.
belongs.
That's the way Warwick used to do all the time.
well,
Well,
it's all,
yeah,
We-
and that's all
we-
fine and good, but
Yeah.
if you want to take the
Yeah.
porch off the house, it's okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the size of the new lot on the corner, the residential lot?
This lot here. Talking about? This will be one lot.
The one that they're combining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, the new proposed
Lot 1?
lot 1.
Looks like 24,000.
Just over half an acre, right?
Existing.
existing.
Ten-
It's taken away now.
yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
Maybe-
It's proposed, right? Like,
Proposed with over half an acre?
Minimum lot area is 20, but you're proposing around just under 20, well, a little over 24,000.
Yeah.
So does that get in the way, and maybe this is a question for Rob, does that get in the way of the issue that we had with the other lot line change that we had recently? Where I think the size of the lot was too small to allow it to go forward the way they had
Talking about the car wash,
requested?
yeah, because it created or increased a nonconformity.
Right.
And that's one of the comments in my memo to the board. I can't tell from the survey if the greenhouse front of the property is gonna violate a side yard setback,
That one, yeah.
Right, so,
creating a new line. It looks like it's under 10 feet,
Yeah.
which is gonna be the
Yeah, right
requirement.
here.
There may be an exception for accessory buildings and their setbacks, but I don't think so. And if that be the case, then we would need to go to the zoning board for a variance with respect to that.
right.
Just as the car wash folks, I think they're in front of the zoning board now, or they'll be there this week.
All right, mhm.
Can I ask you a question?
End of the month.
Does it matter if the structure is considered a permanent structure or
It
not?
might, I'd have to take a look at the ordinance. Without the dimension, I wasn't sure even if we
It's-
needed to do that, but now I see a 10-foot up there at the front of the property, so it certainly looks like it's closer than 10 feet.
It's
And probably the rear greenhouse also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be close.
Oh, that's really close.
Yeah. I mean, the rear line we could probably adjust if that made a difference, but the trouble with the front one that you were looking at is there's a fence there.
Right.
That's, we were trying to align the property line with the fence, but it's probably gonna be, the fence is probably within 10 feet, I would guess. It's close. I don't know, I'd have to measure that, maybe. It's really close.
Yeah, but the two Quonset huts on the side aren't considered permanent structures, so I don't know how that plays in.
There may be a different setback for accessory structures. I don't know, some codes have that, I just don't know what Works is. And so I didn't look at it because I didn't determine what the distance was, but now I see a 10-foot measurement up here at the front of the property, and they're certainly within that. So that can be looked at. I would think it'd be easier to get a variance than it would be to change your design, because the design makes sense.
Right.
The way
Yeah.
you've drawn it out.
Yeah, well, to get to 10 feet would be moving the fence.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the things we were
Yeah.
trying to avoid.
To avoid.
Yeah, the
First
fence has been there
Yeah.
literally for 65 years, so.
So other than the inconvenience of going to the ZBA, I wouldn't think, I know we can't speak for the ZBA, but that, I think I agree with Rob, that sounds easier
Mhm.
to get that variance
Okay.
and proceed with it the way you have it drawn.
Right, I guess the first thing we would have to do is just look at the code as far as an accessory structure. If these are
That's
indeed
a
accessory
greenhouse with
structures.
Plastic, it's not a,
Right.
It's a metal,
Plastic.
like,
Yeah, it's just a
hoop, like a
Quonset
hoop
hut.
house.
It's a
Yes.
hoop house, that's
Yep,
exactly
exactly
what it is, just a Quonset hut.
are those, I don't wanna say that it sounds easy, but can they be moved? Not really,
Well,
Well,
they can be,
it-
but.
It could, but
not
That's
easily.
been
It's
there.
easier to go,
yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to do things on paper than physically.
okay,
Yeah, there's power and gas
Okay.
and things
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so then no, that's not easy to move.
I have the section of the code if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So it says an awning or movable canopy may project no more than 10 feet into the required setback, and for this, the setbacks would be 20 feet. So it would be, as what Rob alluded to, 10 feet from the property line.
Right.
So if that Kwanzaa hut or the greenhouse would be considered an awning or movable canopy, then yes, it's not that there's anything in the code that says greenhouse or
Right,
temporary structure or anything
Right.
along those lines.
So, so the inconvenience of going to the ZBA is a potential issue, but it seems reasonable to expect that if you go with this plan and present it as existing structures, long-standing,
Mhm.
the fence is there, which is a good reason to have the property line there. And see what the ZBA says, but
right, because this is the existing one that runs down here now, this gray one?
I think so, yes.
Right, so
Yeah.
even this
Yeah.
structure as it stands now is
Yeah.
not in compliance.
Yeah, it goes through part of our porch.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
they
So you're
part
trying
of
to
the
make,
recommendation was
the-
just move
Yeah.
your porch.
exactly, so the dwelling will be, now in
this is,
compliance.
right.
Yeah, so you're actually,
Quote unquote.
this plan makes more
improving.
sense than what
Makes a
exists
lot of
presently,
sense.
yeah.
It's technically an improvement, but
Yep.
Which we're trying.
we're
And
trying to
then-
clean up
Yep.
the multitude of sins that have happened over the years.
Yeah.
And then you also have a portion in the
In
town of
town.
Warwick,
Of
so
course.
you're proposing to move it, I don't know how many feet that is, it looks like 10 feet or so, I think. It's around here, maybe 15 feet.
From here to here.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
that's
to
the
make
only
it one-
adjustment in the town. that
Yeah,
we-
we were just trying to make a box.
Right.
So in the town, it's gonna be two lots though, right? Says this is going to lot number 22 and 23.
Yes, they're gonna be starting with 2 lots and ending with 2 tax
Right.
lots.
There'll be
Yeah,
there'll be
because this is one and this is one.
Correct.
And it's,
This is not, I think, it's not part of this. These 2 lots are separate lots, aren't they?
yes,
This lot here,
yes, because the parts that are in the town.
it's in the town.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And
that's-
unfortunately,
So would it make sense just to get limit this and make one bigger lot in the town?
Well, then who owns that lot?
I don't know.
Because right now it's divided between this ownership and this ownership, right?
Yeah, well, it's all of us.
It's all,
It's us.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to?
As long as you, yeah.
I mean, whoever allows what, we're literally just trying to
Yeah,
clean
I know.
it up
Yeah.
a little bit. Whatever anybody says, we're fine with, we
But
just.
you have to go,
try-
you have to go to town for that. We can't do that.
Okay, just trying to put
that-
a bow on
So
everything.
do we need to go to the town no matter what, even if we're realigning this?
Well, I guess we'll get into that with, because
Okay.
I think Dave had a comment, not Dave,
Kind
sorry,
of-
Rob.
You guys
Dave's
could
not
kind
here
of
anymore.
lead on
Rob
that.
had a comment on that, but Keith, if you want to go over some of your.
Yeah, I can go
points
through
first,
it. Yeah, because I touched on that a little bit. So the bigger thing is just ensuring where the existing utilities are, the water, sewer, gas, electric, just to make sure that it's not impacting one lot versus the other, because a lot of times these have shared utilities between them. I don't know if it's that in instance or if they have
No,
separate.
It's not. We can have. We can get this updated to,
Okay.
to show that and just resubmit it. That's fine.
And then what Bill was alluding to, so yeah, so you're starting with 5 tax lots, 3 in the village, 2 in the town, and you're ending up with 4 essentially, 2 in the village, 2 in the town. But the rear portion is actively being used by Corwins based up to that fence line. So if you were to do that lot line change, now you need a common use or some kind of an agreement to continue that use. Otherwise, if you were to sell this lot, you would have to remove all the improvements or
Yeah.
the encroachments on that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what would happen. I think we would just shorten it up.
so if
if
you
they're
were to
separated.
do it that way, just even if you went down and then followed this fence line and then came, this would actually meet the minimum requirements for the lot size. And then this could all be part of Corwin's, and that alleviates the need to go to the town, because then those tax lots could remain as is, and then your lot line change would just come down to here, hit the fence, and then come towards Clinton. And that alleviates the common use agreement between the 2 properties. It meets the required setbacks or the size for the lot for this lot, and it kind of, you're still maintaining and you're still gonna have to go to ZBA for that side yard, but that helps kind of clean it up, and then it alleviates the town even having to be involved.
Does that make sense?
Brilliant.
Right, so you're proposing basically
We should get another
just,
speaker.
More cake for him.
so you're proposing to remove this dashed line and then move it back up to here.
Yeah.
So basically,
That.
so right along that existing fence,
Right here, right here.
exactly.
Yeah, because all
then-
this is just a garden.
Right, and
Yep.
this piece will get absorbed into
Yep.
lot 2.
It'd be a weird configuration, but it would still all be part of one ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be more weird than everything we've dealt with. I mean,
True.
But right, that does avoid then you having to go to the town.
Because then those could even be left as is, they could
Yeah.
be consolidated, it could be,
Yeah,
you know,
because you don't have to adjust this line
No.
at this
No.
point. 'Cause it's
But they are now
so-
existing tax lot. These 2
2
are.
tax lots.
they are
If
now.
you look at the location map, you get a better indication as to what the existing tax lots are, or how they're laid out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right, I mean, if that's acceptable to, that's
Yeah.
what you would like to pursue, then that
I
makes,
think that makes a lot
that
of sense.
streamlines it for
And
sure.
Especially if we're going to ask them to revise this to show the utilities anyhow. We can just have them
Yeah.
pull that up and then resize everything.
And then the other questions or comments I had were in regards to the EAF, just changing a couple of the notations, a question, or the answers from no's to yes. But
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to go about that. Do we?
You have to do that, so set up a new one or change the form to reflect what it is.
Might need to get a copy of what we submitted then. Probably.
I can do that.
Oh, actually,
for
it's
sure.
online, right?
It is.
Okay.
Everything's
No, then-
online in your.
Okay, then we'll resubmit it.
contract. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That's
yeah, that was it. Yep.
Rob, now hearing all that,
Yeah.
Every kind of changed on the fly.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you're willing to, to suggest it and eliminate the town. But we've had this with the town of Warwick before, where they've just issued a resolution that no further action from the town board is required. So it may not be as complicated, weigh that against the other things, but,
Yeah.
the only thing I think maybe on secret then is hold off declaring yourself as lead agency tonight, because the zoning board, if you're going to go there, they'll want to act first. And, so we don't want to complicate their secret review if we're gonna do one. This will be a type 2 action when it comes back to you anyway. So we just want to have a complete short form EAF, so the record's complete. And when it comes back, hopefully the ZBA will have made a determination. You can sort of, in that night, declare it as a type 2 action. Because it's a lot line change, you have the option to hold or not hold a public hearing. We can't imagine there's any public interest in this, and so you probably or might want to consider waiving the public hearing requirement, which also helps streamline the application a little bit.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions before we?
Is it appropriate to do that tonight, or should we wait on that?
No, can't do anything tonight,
I
can
don't
we?
think we
Yeah,
can
I
take
wouldn't do
really
it
any
tonight, I
action.
would wait, you can do it the same night that you make a determination, should you decide to. This also does have to be referred to the county department on the 239 referral.
Right.
So,
That's right.
if you can get your amended EAF to the board secretary, we're gonna need the amended plan too, if you're gonna change the lines,
Right.
before it gets referred over to the county.
So it took
3 years.
We would anticipate it comes back as local determination, but they have a 30-day time period within which to reply to the referral. So the sooner you can get that done, you'll want to submit the same EAF to the zoning board if you're going there. So that would probably be the quickest and fastest way to get it done. Revise your EAF, revise the plan, file an application to the ZBA. When this board has that revised EAF and revised plan, we can refer it to the county. The zoning board's gonna have to refer it also,
Right.
so it's really
Refers to the town, you said?
To the county.
To the county?
to the county planning department.
Yep.
Okay. There was also, I forget which of the memos, there was something about the Corwin corporate description or
Oh.
questions.
Yeah, I don't think we have an owner's endorsement from Corwin. The application was submitted by Slider.
One and the same. It owns me.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but we still have a corporate entity, so if you could file with their secretary and an owner's endorsement of the app of Corwin,
Okay.
make the file complete here.
Have the corporate books tonight, or do I bring it down to you tomorrow?
No, it's not the corporate book, it's a form that the village will get.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
No, that was easy. Okay, that's where we got to really dig into it.
Yeah, we brought the books. I put my stamp.
So I think that's it. I think the next step then would be the ZBA. As long as that's the line.
You have to come to me tomorrow about the
Yeah.
whole process, and it's. What'd you say?
Now, I take it, just to ask the neighbor here, Ted, is he fine with all this stuff and everything? You guys have conversations with him?
We haven't discussed it with him. Ted Green?
Yeah.
At 20? I'm not sure we're changing anything along his lines, to be honest.
I just didn't know, because because this obviously opened up some type, if you guys are gonna do anything back here that gives you stuff a driveway or something behind his property, if he has any concerns or anything.
Well, if he does,
So-
we're gonna stop watching his kids for him.
All the family, huh?
He's the only person that really has an adjacent kind of setup,
Yeah.
that's why I figured if you guys
No,
just,
we're pretty
yeah.
good
We
with
can,
them.
I can describe it to him when we see
Yeah,
him next.
we'll talk to him, but
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he.
I would too, I know
Yeah.
Ted, so I would be surprised too, but I was just saying.
Yeah, it's always good
It's a-
to,
Good too.
To
Yeah.
reach out to the
I
neighbor,
think
that's
in
why I was
the
saying
open,
just,
no surprises.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Surprises are not things make happy, don't make
Yeah.
people happy.
Okay.
That's all we have on this application tonight. Do you have any other questions? No?
come see me tomorrow
Bring a
around.
checkbook.
Bring your checkbook, and 10, you wanna come at 10?
What is my?
Call me.
I don't even know what my
I
year
can-
looks like.
Call me.
Yeah.
Call me, and we'll make an appointment.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. No problem.
does it matter what entity is checkbook I'm bringing?
No.
Does it doesn't matter who pays, if it's Slater, Corwin and Corwin Flores,
No.
DBA,
They just wanna
what,
check.
they just wanna check, they
Who
don't.
has currency, that's
they-
all.
I could bring a roll of quarters, whatever we need.
Yep.
Many dollars. Just,
And then
I
you'll
just
have
wanna
to
make
put-
sure I'm bringing the right
I
book.
have
with
a
me.
pen for you to fill out the application. And, okay, so that piece of paper, I have to make a copy of.
I can send you a digital copy.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Then you may have
Good.
This guy.
More cake.
it. Thank you, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Or when I get out again.
Right,
Today was a special event.
right, exactly. Thank you, thank you.
So we have two discussion items. The first one is meeting procedure in absence of a chairperson. So Rob had reviewed the code, or I guess the laws, and determined, I guess, how we would go about in my absence for a meeting, who and how someone would fill in. I think ideally it was recommended that we would have a vice chair, a position similar to that, so that we'd have someone to go to in the event that I'm not here, like next month I won't be here. But that is not, doesn't seem to be allowed with the current language. Am I reading that correct, I think?
Yeah, I just took a quick look at your code provisions. There's nothing in the village code that deals with that kind of an appointment. The state law, however, 7-718, planning boards and creation and appointment. The village board of trustees of each village is hereby authorized by local law to create a planning board consisting of 5 or 7 members. No surprise there. Members and the chairperson of such planning board shall be appointed by the mayor, subject to the approval of the board of trustees. No surprise there. In the absence of a chairperson, the planning board may designate a member to serve as chairperson. So it requires the actual absence of the chair to serve as a chairperson. So the village board could, as part of a local law, create a plan for the planning board, a position like that by local law. That seems to be an awful lot of work, which might be unnecessary. My suggestion is that if you want to, you could decide tonight as a matter of board procedure who would be the designated chair in the absence of the chairman. So that and kind of makes sense, that person that would be on notice, hey, I've got to be the chair next week, so you can get ready to do what you need to do. You know beforehand, rather than having the meeting, chair's not here, who are we gonna pick tonight? It kind of puts you all in a bad position. So I don't know that you need to elect or appoint a vice chair, but you could by board, determination tonight, decide who that acting chair would be in the event the chair is absent. Then that would be my suggestion.
Well, I know in my time here, we have had instances where both the chair and like the normal fill-in have been out. So having even a vice chair, you almost have to have a succession to go to the third, fourth line. I mean, you're creating like the whole succession of, okay, who is,
Well, then it would only be a discussion amongst 3,
Right.
or you're not gonna have a meeting.
But that's the truth. So, the way it's written, I mean, there is no notice to it. I mean, there would be obviously because we know you're out next week. So almost at that meeting, because even your vice chair could end up being out. Having a quorum of the remaining members that are here kind of elect who's going to be the acting would be the.
Right, and that seems to be the way it was historically, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, who's got it?
Yeah, that's the way it was. I know it happened to me a couple times.
Maybe by seniority, maybe, I don't know how else you would remember who was who.
Right, and I think that's kind of what we discussed, that maybe just having it's a fallback, it's based on seniority. If whoever has been on the board the longest, then they're present at that meeting, it's them, so it's not like a jumble as far as like,
Right,
who's gonna do it, and
Right, you're
nobody
more
wants to.
organized, like exactly what you said, to be prepared for the meeting. It's more fair to the applicant that we know, especially since we know you won't be here in April, that.
Right.
And more fair to you guys.
And more fair, right,
You really don't wanna walk
exactly.
into a meeting, I'm the chair tonight? Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Surprise,
has happened,
surprise.
it happened at least
Well,
to
that's
me
what we're
once.
trying to avoid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened.
I was gonna say, I remember that happening to
Yeah,
you.
that happened to
I
me.
think it was like me, you, and one other person.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, yes,
And
that
the
has happened.
meetings are run differently now. You know, you have to, it's a little bit more formal,
Right.
right? So, I mean, it's good to be more prepared, always good to be more organized. It's never a bad thing.
Right, and I think this is just a step in formalizing further even what we're doing as a board.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of overhead to me. I think I'm in line with what you're saying, Brian,
Yeah.
about having it be a little bit less formal. And in the case where we know ahead of time, it's still easy enough to have an informal,
Designation?
say we'll agree that it's gonna be seniority. So it's like, okay, who's that gonna be next month? And if the next person isn't there, it's the next person down the line. And it seems to me it's our responsibility as board members to at least be modestly prepared to take over in the event that we're ending up being the senior person at the table. In the case when there isn't a lot of notice,
Yes,
it's not fair to the applicant in that case to send them away
no.
and say, sorry, we're not prepared. So I don't know, it seems like a lot of extra overhead to go through the formality of designating somebody and then still not being able to cover all of the eventualities.
Exactly, unless you're gonna literally have a pecking order down to like a third in
Pecking
line or
order,
fourth
yes,
in
the third.
line. Because what if then your alternate are both out? What if literally he gets held up in traffic? It's, okay, you don't have two out, you're still able to have four members here, you can still have the meeting. All right, who's the third in line now?
It seems to me that we can agree that the order's gonna be seniority.
Okay.
And the first order of business in a meeting where we don't have a chair is to assign an active chair for the night.
And that would be done according to seniority.
Right.
And to that end, I don't know what you folks do, if you know that you're not gonna be at a meeting, please let Kristen know so that the next guy
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do we have to put that into our procedures?
Well,
Because this isn't really a motion,
it's not a motion, this is really a discussion.
Mhm.
So,
You could put
I-
it into your procedure.
It's just in the procedures as
could
far as
add them.
seniority.
Yeah.
okay,
That is a procedure item. Just put it
an
in there.
amended
Yeah.
procedure, or just put them
Procedure
in
for
the.
the appointment of acting chair.
Yeah.
That helps in terms of institutional knowledge.
Based on seniority.
Procedure for, I like the lawyer.
Designating an acting
Wait.
chair.
Designation.
Designate, is that what the, designate, yeah,
Designate.
designate a
Acting chair.
Acting
chairperson
In the
in
absence
the
of
absence of the chairperson.
So we can amend our procedures for that, and then we'll just adopt them at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, that's great.
So that'll check that.
Okay,
And this last thing on the discussions was, I think this is what carried over from
this is the
previous.
public comment.
Right.
So I know that you all were discussing that, and I noticed in the village board meetings that Raina always puts that blurb into her agenda. But that's up to you, it's up to you. I just thought it could be helpful to you to see this and to see what the village board does. I was reading their minutes and I know you had been discussing it. This is just a helpful tool. It's up to you what you want. I'm just trying to help.
So you're suggesting this wording at the end of,
Would go when there's a
Yeah.
public comment.
It would go into the actual,
here's the agenda, it would be
Raina
sort of down here.
I
Or
think
wherever
that's
the
where she-
public
where-
comment would
Yeah,
go.
wherever Raina puts it in hers, I would do the same exact thing for the planning board.
Right, in the last meeting, I think we discussed when
I can actually
public
pull up.
comments
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
be appropriate.
Mhm.
Like, we would kind
Yeah,
of base it
yeah.
on what we see during meetings.
Mhm.
I think it was, go ahead.
No, can I finish?
No.
The school board has a public comment section on like a topic that was being presented, and then not if there's additional information that the board is talking about.
Mhm.
So it doesn't always have to be at the end, is what I'm saying, for the whole meeting. If there was something that we want public comment for, you wanna add it for that section of the agenda, but if you don't wanna add it at the end, because
Right.
then that opens up
The
the
whole
whole thing.
agenda, right, and that's what we spoke about, is that it would be specific to an
Specific to-
application that
that's right.
we've predetermined,
Correct,
we would hear public comments.
correct.
The subsequent meeting.
Yeah, I'm not uncomfortable with the predetermined.
Well, because
was
we
on the
said we
agenda,
wouldn't
right?
just open it up
Right.
willy-nilly that meeting, cause you're then,
Oh, here we go.
there's no
But
structure
it's,
to
but
it.
what if it's,
Okay, so,
every meeting has that opportunity?
so this is what
I
the
don't know if I agree
village
with
board
that.
does. It's up on
Right, we
the
said no.
screen here. So, call to order, roll call, presentation, announcement, discussion, and then she puts public comment,
At the end.
agenda item only.
Right, they have a
It's not
standing
really a
public comment in their agenda.
I thought as a board, we kind of agreed that we did not want to
Correct.
open that up as a, so I think that if it was a specific thing, just like a specific topic, fine, but I thought as a board, we sort of agreed not to have that as a general,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we were concerned that if we had a formal public period at the end, it would require the applicant and the attorneys and everything else
Right,
to
to
hang
be
around for
present.
that time. And you know, that would add cost to everybody. You know.
As a newcomer, I haven't seen some of the things I've heard stories about, but it seems like we're walking a line here. We want our community to feel like they have an opportunity to engage
Yep, for
in
sure.
discussion. However, on contentious issues, it seems like an open public comment for every meeting invites use of our time that may not be beneficial. So there may be a circumstance, and I'm just
Whatever you guys
thinking
want.
about generic circumstances
I,
where people would come and
Air
blow a
their
lot of hot air
grievances.
in a situation where it doesn't actually do any good to anyone.
I agree with you, but ultimately, because you're right, there is the circumstances where they are gonna air open-ended grievances about matters we don't have jurisdiction over, have nothing to do with the planning board. But it's almost like we should allow the residents the opportunity to speak, because
sure.
by making the blanket rule, you're gonna miss maybe somebody who has something valuable to say, and you're gonna miss it and not know it. So as much as, you know, yeah, you're gonna you may waste 99 times, but then there's that 1 out of 100 that is valuable, and I'd rather waste 99 times to get the one that's valuable, so.
What if it's like at different stages that it's built in? So it's not just like random, like decided like, oh, there's a vibe, we should open it up. But like maybe the first time an application is presented and then another time that's when the
I
public.
don't know if we want to make it that formal. I think it'd be a little less formal.
Well, you had brought
I-
this up the last meeting. In our procedures now, it says the public may speak only during public comment period
Yeah, that's at the
of a
end.
public hearing, and
Public
at
hearing.
any other time, a majority of the board allows. So that's where we determined that we would
Oh, I see.
almost set the tone of like how we're receiving feedback, what the interest is in an application, and say, if the majority of the board at that time says we should start involving the public
Mm-hmm.
in this process, then we as a board determine that, you know, the majority says we can start hearing public
So when
comments.
we're talking about a particular application, when the board has dealt with all the questions and the applicant, the chairman can say, you know, do you want to open up to public questions at that time?
For the majority.
During the meeting.
Yeah.
We'd almost have to have a motion and a vote, though.
Yeah.
If
as
you
I said,
start,
According to
does the-
these,
does the
you do.
board want to open it up to?
Wait, which part is freaking you? Wait, which part is freaking you out?
Yeah, so that gets complicated.
Wait, yeah, what,
No,
to which part?
all of it.
Lovely.
You are, this is a business meeting. Applicants get in front of you by filing a fee and an application, and your business is to review that. There is a time and place for public comment on those applications, and it's during the public hearing section. That's what the law provides for, and it's there in front of you. Please don't vary that. You've been very fortunate in this village to have not had too many contentious public hearings. But if you allow the public to comment on agenda items, you're gonna open up a Pandora's box that you will not be able to close. And you could well subject yourself to litigation for entertaining comments when an applicant's not present or the representatives are not here.
Yeah, after that.
It's a very dangerous road to go down. I would urge you not to add this item and allow public comment on anything except during public hearings.
Very good.
So
Okay.
should this procedure then be amended? Because right now it says at any other time a majority of the board allows.
I wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't do it.
So then strike that, and the public may speak only during the public comment period of a public hearing,
Yeah.
period.
Sure.
What if there was a public hearing earlier in the process plus the public hearing towards the end of the process?
Your public hearings typically are one and done. Sometimes we have reopened public hearings if there's new information that's been presented or a plan has been changed. You would then renotice the public hearing so that the public has a fair opportunity to attend and hear it and revoice what their concerns might be. You would hear that and take it all in. But I don't think sometimes in the secret process, in a complicated type 1 action, you might have 2 public hearings, one on a scoping document, maybe even one on the EIS itself, maybe even have 3 public hearings and something like that. But the law is very specific with respect to public comments and public hearings. I would urge you not to vary it. It's, as I say, a Pandora's box. It'll get opened and you're not gonna get a chance to close it without a lawsuit.
So how do we balance, like you said, it's a business, like you have an applicant, it's a business, and that's what we attend to. But at the same time, we serve the village, everybody in the village. How do we balance the two?
Well, I think you do a pretty good job of it so far. You know, urge the public to review the file. It's open to them, they can see it here, you know, the business office.
Watch the YouTube.
Watch the YouTube.
Attend the meetings, hear what's being said. Many of the concerns of the public are addressed, should be addressed by this board way before the public hearing. So a lot of the public's concerns have been addressed, things that they say at the public hearing, most of the time have already been reviewed by you and taken into consideration in the matter. To the extent that they haven't been, the public comment is very helpful. And you know, this board has been pretty good about following up on things that might not have been considered or maybe not considered as completely as it needed to be. And that's the process.
Should we suggest that folks submit written comments?
You can
Good.
always do that.
Yeah, I know, but maybe the audience needs to know that.
Yeah,
That they can submit written comments, and written comments are probably more valuable because it's there and it's more thought out than a long-winded discussion.
yeah.
Yeah, and the problem comes in the case where we have a complex and contentious proposal
Mhm.
that's in process. And we don't want the situation where our community feels as if they're being shut out of the process.
Yes, that's true.
So we can suggest that they submit written comments.
yeah.
We can break up the public hearing into portions that are appropriate, time appropriate. If necessary, you say you're thinking up to 3 different
Well,
points in
we've
the
held
process.
public hearings open for periods
Yeah.
of time that,
Sure.
you know, to allow more or subsequent meetings
Yeah.
to be involved, but there's specific parts of seeker that, you know, you have public hearings.
And we said before that one of the reasons it comes so late is to give the applicant the opportunity to be fully prepared and to address the issues that we
Yeah.
bring up.
Just
Well, they
to-
only could have comments about something that's actively open, be discussed.
well,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead. No.
Good.
No, just to jump on what you guys were thinking, why not just change this into, if they have comment, they can submit them in a written form and
Yeah.
put that on the agenda.
Yeah.
This way it's kind of written out there, because people are gonna see the agenda and they will know how to comment. But if you just leave it on there pretty much as a blanket statement at the end of all the agendas, that it says, if you have further comment, you know, please submit in writing, and it's just there.
Well, okay, so the public comment where it says agenda and items only, it's the guidelines for the public comment. So when you read through it, it says that it says the village board is not required to accept or respond to questions from the public at meetings, but may request that inquiries be submitted in writing to be responded to at a later date.
I think the village board's function and role is different
Oh,
than
it's
yours.
totally different, okay.
And, you know, they sort of an open board, you know, the public comes and they do have open comments, but even some of those get out of hand, and you have to limit people to the time that they
Oh,
have,
yeah.
otherwise
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna be here all night long. And you should not allow public comment from the floor if the applicant or the representative are not present.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Very unfair.
Yeah,
And it would
Entirely
be
correct.
fatal error if the zoning board were to do such a thing. So
entirely correct.
I would again urge you not to do this.
I agree.
So that settles that. No more, this is
We'll have to amend
we're gonna
the
amend the.
procedures,
Okay.
just to remove that.
Part of the sentence.
Yeah, there's a reference to any other time a majority of the board allows.
So
To
what do you
strike
want
that.
me, what do you want me to strike? Anytime,
So right now the sentence reads, the public may speak only during the public comment period of a public hearing and at any other time a majority of the board allows. We would be striking everything after public hearing. So you're striking and at any other time a majority of the board allows.
Somebody should say, maybe request submitted in writing,
Can we put that in there?
or their comments, the board welcomes their comments.
Says the planning board is not
submitted.
required to accept or respond to questions from the public at meetings, but may request that inquiries be submitted in writing to be responded to at a later date.
Yeah.
Which is typical of
Mm-hmm.
what we do.
okay.
But we can verbally say that, I think, during meetings, is that, you know, when we know there's
And
a large
sometimes
crowd
someone-
out there.
Someone will sit here and say, can I ask the board a question? You know,
Yeah.
that's not.
Atypical.
And it doesn't have to do with anything on a matter that's before you, and certainly you could listen to it, maybe solve a problem without the need for an application and so on and so forth, so. If somebody wants to come in and do that, but remember, it's your time that's being perhaps stolen at that point. You know, you can be as generous as you want, but sometimes it makes for a late night.
Yeah.
And you've got consultants sitting here that you're paying
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not paying. A lot of times, you know, we sit here and don't bill the time.
Right.
Well, you retired at 8 o'clock, right?
There's a special night. I'm all yours.
That clock has not been moved ahead.
That's true. The meeting hasn't
I
started yet.
know,
All right, so
okay.
if there's nothing else, does anybody else have anything?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All right.
None opposed. Now we gotta stop the live stream again.
I love the live stream.
Are we not live streaming anymore?
We are.
We're done?
Still red.
Still
No,
red.
it's still red. I have to sign in. I